الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Alhamdulillah. Amma ba'd. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing us together for another Yawm Jamaa'ah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for another opportunity to draw closer to Him. And this is another reminder for us that we must draw closer and closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of His book, the Qur'an, and by means of His example. The Qur'an yamshi fil ard, the Qur'an walking on the earth, His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A few days ago, a white man, he drove from down south someplace, the southeastern portion of the United States. He drove in his car up to New York City. And when he got there, he identified a black person, a man collecting cans, and he stabbed him to death. And he did this intentionally, and he articulated his intention. His intention for driving across all of those state borders was to kill him, a black person. That was his intention. And what's amazing, not really amazing, but what's amazing, if you watch or read the news coverage, how they describe the criminal and how they describe the victim. The criminal was described as well-dressed, dapper, the one who did the murder. This is how he's described. And the victim, his criminal record was released to the public. It was a man minding his business. He was collecting cans. And he was arbitrarily picked by this person to be killed. And so in the media's portrayal of the two people, the murderer is described as dapper, well-dressed, And the victim, the murder victim, the innocent person, his arrest record is released. This should not surprise us anymore. And he has explained clearly that he did what he intended to do. And in trying to understand and untangle all of this information, as Muslims, we should always refer it back to Allah and His Messenger. Any information we get or any spin on the facts, we should filter it back through the Qur'an and the Sunnah in order to get a proper understanding on what is going on. Do you know that when they brought him in, and if I understood the story correctly, he turned himself in, he wanted to martyr himself for the cause of white supremacy. Hey, I just killed this guy, here I am. And when they took him in, they made sure they protected him, had all types of armor, all types of vests on him, similar to the way they treated Dylan Ruth when he went into the church and killed, I believe, 9 people who were minding their business, worshiping God the way they saw fit. He went in the church and prayed with them and then killed them. And then left one person alive so they could tell the story. They protected him, made sure he was well fed, gave him Burger King before they, when they was transferring him, made sure he was well treated. So we have to, as Muslims, understand what's going on. Why would someone, or why would a group of people think like this and act like barbarians like this and get such good treatment? We have to understand this. And again, the Qur'an is the answer for everything. The answer is sitting right there in the Qur'an. All we have to do is read it. It's clear as day if you're connected with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've said over and over and over and over and over, I forgot how many times I just said over, but I think I've mentioned what I'm about to mention in the Jumu'ah khutbah more times than I've said over from this memoir alone. Forget all of the other memoirs and masters that I've spoken from, just this one alone. Way back in ancient times, there was a young boy who was soon to be a prophet. He was the son of a prophet who was also the son of a prophet. I'm talking about Yusuf alayhi salam. Prophet Yusuf is the son of Yaqub. Prophet Yusuf is the son of Yaqub, who's the son of Ishaq, Isaac, who's the son of Abraham. All of those who I just mentioned are prophets and are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These men, these prophets, obviously all righteous men. Give us a second, we're going to change the battery on the show. These men, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, one of 12 brothers who was sold into slavery. Read Surah Yusuf, Surah number 12. He was brought into Misr, Egypt. That begins the stint or the stay of Bani Israel, the children of Israel, in Egypt, where Prophet Yusuf brought his family there. Sometime after this, the ruler of Egypt has a dream. This is very important for you to understand. You have this minority group who is being treated well, who is not originally from Misr, Egypt, living in Egypt. And the ruler has a dream. And he goes to his cabinet or his ministers to ask for an interpretation of this dream. And he is told that what your dream means is that there's going to be a young boy from Bani Israel, the children of Israel, who is going to be brought up in your midst, and he's going to unify his people, and they're going to overthrow you and change the status quo. They're going to change everything upside down. They're going to rule and you're going to be under. And so the ruler of Egypt instituted a policy wherein they killed every single male from Bani Israel. Every child that's born, they kill him. Every single one without exception. At the same time, Bani Israel were made to be slaves. They were made to be slaves. Now, you have a slave population doing all the work. Now you just instituted this other policy where you're killing all the men. You're also killing your workforce. And so they amended the Constitution, they changed it, and they said that we're not going to kill every single male or boy that is born. We're going to kill every single male every other year. So 1 year, we'll let all of the children live, all of the boys live, and the next year, we'll kill all of the boys. It was during this time period that Prophet Musa was born. And this is why the mother of Musa, Moses, was concerned about the life of her child. That's why she hid the pregnancy and she was worried about it. Because Musa was born during a year where they were killing all of the boys. Unlike his brother Harun, who was born during a year where they weren't killing the boys. This part that we mentioned is in the Qur'an about killing the boys and letting the women live. What's not in the Qur'an, what you can find in the commentaries, the tafsir, is what I said before that. The reason why they were killing the boys. Because they were worried about genetic annihilation and the status quo changing from them ruling. So they felt like they had to control that portion of the population. This is the social plan of Qur'an. In order to understand what's going on right now, you have to understand that. If you think it's not about deen or it's not about race, you're well off. You're off. We may be the only ones who don't understand it, even though it's as clear as day in our book, the Qur'an. They just released a report yesterday or the day before yesterday. Somebody or some group did some research, and they said that for the first time in a long time, the population of middle-aged white males is decreasing. And it's been on the news for at least the last 36 hours. They've been talking about this nonstop, this report. And what does it mean? And they're not talking about necessarily health problems, it's social problems that's killing this portion of the population. Suicide, lack of jobs, the stress related to that, substance abuse. They list these problems as what's taking out this segment of the American population, the middle-aged white male. A lot of you don't know, and a lot of your Muslim brothers may not tell you, but many people, when they come into this country, even they may be darker than me, but they're considered white, technically speaking, white. See, when me and you think black and white, we think complexion, skin color, phenotype, we think something like this. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about classifications of people in this society. Do you know that if you're from North Africa, you're considered white? When you come into this country, when you fill out a census form, survey, when you go for a job, you're classified as white. If you're from Egypt, which is Africa, or if you're from Arabia, or one of the many Arab countries, you are considered white. Technically speaking, for the purposes that I just mentioned in this country. Many Asians are considered white. Had nothing to do with skin complexion or anything like that. They considered white. Many so-called Hispanics considered white. Many of these groups that I just mentioned, they went to court and lobbied and fought for the right to be called or considered or classified in this country as white. So you think white, black, light, dark? No. There's something that all of these groups understand about being here that we don't understand. And the Qur'an told us about it over 1400 years ago. And I hope to make this thing clear to you in the next part. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa afdalu salatu wa tamu taslim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa radiyallahu ta'ala an sajid al-tabi'in wa ulama al-amalin wa a'imatu al-arba'at al-mujtahidin wa muqallidihim ila yawm al-din amma ba'd. In the Quran, the name Musa, Moses, is mentioned 136 times. In the Quran, the name Pharaoh, is mentioned in the Quran 74 times. In the Quran, the name Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is mentioned in the Quran 4 times. The name, emphasis on the word name, Musa, is mentioned more than the name, emphasis on the word name, Muhammad, is mentioned more than the name Muhammad in the Quran. Did I say that Moses is mentioned in the Qur'an more than Muhammad? No. I said the name, Musa is mentioned in the Qur'an more than the name Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The story of Musa and Fir'aun and Bani Israel is mentioned more times in the Quran than any other story. It is mentioned more than the story of Adam and Eve and Iblis. It is mentioned more than the story of any other prophet. This story mentioned over and over and over and over again. But most of us are not familiar with this story. Even though it's mentioned in the Quran more than any other story. What does this tell us? We are not connected with the Quran. How can you be reading the Quran where this story is mentioned more than any other story in the Quran and not be familiar with the story? The Prophet ﷺ told us that there were 4 people who had kingdoms or control more than any other people in history. 2 of them were disbelievers and 2 of them were believers. The 2 who were disbelievers were Nimrod and Fir'aun. Fir'aun is what concerns us today. The 2 that were believers were Dhul Qarnayn, who's mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, mentioned in Surah number 18. And Prophet Sulaiman. Fir'aun, who had one of the biggest kingdoms on earth. Look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about him in Surah Al-Qasas. نَتْلُو عَلَيْكَ مِن نَبَاءِ مُوسَى وَفِرْعَوْنَ بِالْحَقِّ لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. We recite to you some of the news of Musa and Fir'aun for a people who believe. In truth, for a people who believe. إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم يذبح أبناءهم ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين. Verily, Fir'aun became arrogant in the land and made its people into sects, oppressing a group from among them, killing their sons, and letting their females live. Verily, he was of the great oppressors. Verily, Fir'aun became arrogant in the earth. Do you know that Allah mentions elsewhere in the Quran that Fir'aun said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, I am your Lord the Most High. What he said, I'm your Lord the Most High. Me, Fir'aun. You needed his permission to worship. Extremely arrogant. And he divided its people into sects. In other words, the way that he or they control Misr, Egypt, is by divide and rule. We talk about divide and conquer. After you conquer, you want to rule. So you got to keep the people divided in order to rule them. So he kept the people of Egypt divided. And someone that's an oppressor, unity is their nightmare. Watch out for people, not only governments and world leaders, little leaders too. Little insignificant leaders. The way they keep people controlled is to make sure that they stay divided. Have you looking sideways at your brother. That's a page out of Fir'aun's book. People, watch out for that. Somebody that's going out of their way to make you not like or divided or hate someone who you normally supposed to be united with. So he divided the people. And then out of those people, he oppressed one of those people in that group. One group of those people. And that's Bani Israel, the children of Israel. And what's not mentioned here, but what is understood, is that all of the other groups agreed with the oppression. That was the status quo. This is the way things are. Don't upset the order. Don't upset the balance. And this is what you have to understand about this society. It's the exact same thing. Not only is a particular group of people singled out for oppression, not only is this whole society divided and a group of people are singled out for oppression, every other group is okay with the oppression. Not just the group at the top. And you have to realize that there is a hierarchy. You can deny it all you want. You can talk to you blue in the face. There is a hierarchy here. And at the top of the hierarchy is white. And this is why all groups that come here petition to be considered white. Stop thinking skin complexion. I just told you North Africans are considered white when they come here. You may think, well, Irish, they're white. They had to fight for the right to be considered white in this country, Irish people. Stop thinking light and dark. Jewish people had to fight for the right to be considered white in this country. It's history. It's not even 100 years old. Why do you think in this society, decades ago, the organized criminals were Irish, Jews, and Italians? At the time that they were the criminals, they weren't considered white. Then they got the right to be considered white in this country, and they gave up the crime and gave it to us. And they got the businesses, they got the police departments, they got the fire departments. There's a hierarchy. Somebody's on the top, somebody's on the bottom, and everybody in the middle agrees with what everybody that's on the top. And Allah explained this in the Qur'an over 1400 years ago. And so this is how you have to understand what's going on and what's being said. And then you have to understand the divine purpose in it all. Because nobody has more power than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all exist within His power. And Allah said in the Qur'an, referring to Bani Israel in Surah Al-Baqarah, that this bala, this affliction that's on them, He didn't say it's from Fir'aun, He said it's from us, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah allowed it to happen. Anytime you get something good in this life, there's a price to pay for it. Anytime there's a favor or a blessing coming to you, you have to earn it. And you will pay. That's why many of us are content with mediocrity. We are content with just being shiftless and nothing because we don't want to pay the price to go to the next level. Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X said before he died, that the price of freedom is death. And we know what price he paid for it. Allah says, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَّمُونَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ وَارِثِينَ. And we wish to do a favor to those who were weak and oppressed in the land, and to make them rulers and to make them inheritors in the land. وَنُمَكِّنَا لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنُرِيَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَهَامَانَ وَجُنُودَهُمَا مِنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَحْذَرُونَ. And to establish them in the land, and to let Pharaoh, Haman, and their hosts receive from them that which they fear. Understand what Allah is telling you. That this is the price that Bani Israel had to pay for what Allah was going to do for them, for the favor that Allah was going to grant them. They had to go through this. So as you're watching the news and you're seeing this blatant miscarriage of justice, and you're trying to figure out how, why can't everybody see what I can see? They see what you see, they just denying it. Why me? This is why. Allah is trying to do a favor for you. And you have to wake up to recognize what that favor is. Allah just told it to you. I just read it to you and translated it to you. That's a favor that Allah wants to give. But you have to act right going through the affliction. You can't be like some of Bani Israel who, when they were finally saved from the affliction, wanted to go back to Misra for some petty trinkets. You wanted to go back completely, man. They were saved from Pharaoh. They seen the miracles. They walked across the water. When they were walking across the Red Sea, Allah made a road through the water. Can you just imagine a small river, like the Ohio River, where it starts at? And you walking like, yo, man, it's dirty, all this toxic pollution, I'm about to drown, I ain't got no boat. Then you start walking in the water, and then a road, a street, comes in front of you, and you walk across the river. Not like that guy who tried to rob the store a couple of years in the winter when the Allegheny River was frozen and he ran across, ran across to the north side, right where the police station was, got locked up. Not him, a real road. Of course, you seen it, and your enemy following you, and he drowned it, but you walking across it. They saw this with their own eyes and got to the so-called promised land and is sitting there reminiscing about slavery. Oh man, we used to have cucumbers, herbs, and lentils. Oh man. And them was the good old days. And there were slaves getting killed. This was the good old days. And Musa told him, you can go back if you want and put up with the same treatment that you had. When they got to the promised land, some of them built a golden calf. They left Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of them were commanded to go seek tawbah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and instead of seeking Allah's forgiveness, they asked to see Allah, the elders, and Allah destroyed them. It's in the Qur'an. They were destroyed. And that first generation that made it across, they never made it so-called to the promised land. It was a prophet who came after Prophet Musa that brought them to the promised land. Yusha'a. The same person who was the boy in the boat with Musa. He became a prophet. And it was under his leadership that they entered the promised land. That whole generation that, was kind of okay with slavery and all that kind of stuff, they had to go first. It's sitting right there in the Qur'an. We talk about building new bridges to Africa. Some of us ain't going nowhere. Cell phone service don't work right. Ain't no internet. Internet ain't good over there. And we send all types of pictures and videos and all kind of stuff. And some people still come to you, man, do they got running water in Africa? They got electricity? We ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay right here. And we're not trying to change nothing either. Well, alhamdulillah, the answer's in the Qur'an. What you trying to understand around you is in the Qur'an. Just read it. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Imam Naeem Abdullah of Masjid Al-Mu'min and Nur Zaman Institute is available for speaking engagements. You can contact Imam Naeem Abdullah at the following: via telephone at 267-388-0823 or write him at 537 Paulson Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA 15206 or via email at imamnaeem@nurzamaninstitute.org.
Bismillah.